Now, a couple drills I think that are useful in developing your pummeling skills. As I had mentioned at the beginning of the DVD, just as a basic warm-up, getting used to just going back and forth and establishing a rhythm. And then as you get more proficient at that, you tighten it up. For example, keeping the elbows in, and you're not preventing your opponent from getting anything. You're just becoming and learning to become more sensitive. I keep my elbows in. I start using a little footwork. Again, we're not like majorly fighting each other, but we're just getting some sensitivity and kind of practicing the fluidity. And then after that, you start moving to the side a little bit, pushing each other, learning to retreat, so that we're going back and forth, and you develop a sensitivity to that. So you start out very loose, very easy, loosen the shoulders up, and then you start tightening up your technique, putting up a little bit more resistance, say from 40 to 60 or 70%, still kind of moving, developing sensitivity. And then after you've gotten some proficiency at that, what we do is we'll, for example, pick two squares, or two rectangles rather, in the room here that make a square. And then we both stand in the middle. And the goal is to push each other out of the square. Now, there are two ways of doing that. One way we do it is with our hands behind our back, because that develops some sensitivity in learning how to push and having a sense of pressure. Now, if Kobe's going to push me out here, he defeats me as he pushes me out of the square. Now, naturally, if you have a bigger person and a littler person, more times than not, the bigger person's going to win if that's all we're doing is pushing and shoving. So you've got to learn to adjust your push power. In other words, my push power is not very good if I'm very upright. At the same time, if I get too low, Kobe's going to snap me down and push me away. Conversely, if Kobe's pushing me out, I can change direction on him. So that's the game there. Kobe pushes me out of the ring here. Good. And you see Kobe retreated there. I about went out of bounds. So that's the goal. You just pick out a small area, and we just keep pushing each other. If my head goes down, he pushes me down and out. If I push into him too hard, he may give way and then pop me with the shoulder and gets me up. And that teaches you a sensitivity with pushing and pulling just based upon body contact. Next, you transition to using our arms. So we're in here, and we're pushing, and Kobe pulls me out here. I was pushing into him, he retreated and changed direction on me. Push. Nice. Good. That's the goal, and you have a game in there for maybe 30 seconds. So you can practice your transitions from your pummeling technique, keeping it in a very circumscribed area that you need to control physically. And you do your techniques, both in terms of pummeling as well as finishes, to get your opponent out of that small circumscribed area. And that will develop good pummeling skills. And it will also develop confidence in being at that very closest range. Naturally, when I'm in this position of over and under here, this pummeling or clinch position, while we're talking about grappling skills, for the people that are strikers, of course, there's lots of things to be doing in here in terms of foot stomps, knees, elbows, getting a little distance, being able to punch, whatever. And so your task, of course, was once you feel comfortable with the wrestling aspects of that position, to be able to then incorporate the things you're going to be best at from your background, striking, punching, kicking, and elbows, etc.